Well, welcome everybody. I'm Ursula Bielski. For those of you who are new to the channel, I am a 35-year veteran paranormal investigator, historian, folklorist, author, and a lifelong Catholic. And on this channel, we look at everything in the world of the supernatural from a Catholic and Christian perspective. And tonight, I am so excited to have you meet a truly awesome human being that I've known for many, many, many years. Tonight is the first time I've talked to him in such a long time. And I know that you're going to absolutely love this guy because he loves what I know all of you guys love, which is supernatural and dogs. And so without further ado, help me welcome my dear friend, Tim Maile. Tim, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. That's a lot of pressure that you just put
No, no pressure at
on.
all. We're just talking. We're just talking. I've known you for a long time, but I was trying to remember today the last time I actually saw you. Our last Chicago Ghost Con was, I think, 2018. And
Yeah,
were you at that one?
I was not. I've not actually made it to one of the Chicago Ghost Cons. So
Oh, okay. So I
yeah,
must just remember you at other cons that I was
yeah,
at. I always thought you were at one of ours.
yeah. The state of Illinois is not a big fan of me, I don't think.
Not a big fan of anyone, I don't think. Why do you say that?
Just
You
it's
haven't been invited to stuff here?
uh, people don't really know me there, so I don't expect to be invited. We've tried to run a few autographs events there, and we've struggled. But for the most part, it's just a Packer fan,
Because you're
picking.
from Oshkosh, Wisconsin.
Yeah, yeah, it's just a Packer fan picking on the state of Illinois because it's a bear thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's all it is.
Okay, so you mentioned potographs. Can you tell us what that is for those who do not know?
I guess I have to start at the beginning
Yes,
when it
you
comes
do.
to autographs. Bought this house in 2006,
So
and
you still live in this house where
I
you
do,
first got started with paranormal investigation.
I do. It's been a long 17 years, but yeah, I bought this house in 2006 and had never dealt with anything paranormal, and moved in here, and within days I had footsteps from bedroom to bedroom upstairs, bangs in the wall, voices in the closet. Really honestly thought I was going crazy because I was going through a lot of
Yeah.
things in my personal life. um, that led me, to into the paranormal world. Was watching the Sci-Fi Channel one night. I was watching wrestling. I'm a nerd at heart, and I was watching wrestling, and there was a commercial for ghost hunters, and I didn't know that existed. Um, so I DVR'd it and started watching it. I fell in love. I tried to contact teams in my area, and nobody seemed to want to get back to me. So I
Mhm.
was forced to educate myself on the subject. So that's how I got into the paranormal field. How I started Potographs was I was getting more and more attention in the field and having
So
opportunities.
you were having trouble with activity in your house and you reached out to local ghost hunting teams in your area, but nobody got back to you.
Nobody got back to me. I
So
wasn't working.
you decided to learn about it yourself.
Yeah, and it was not in the beginning. It was not, hey, I need to start my own team. It
Mhm.
was more along the lines of I have a 30-year mortgage, and I got to figure out how to coexist with this.
Yeah.
Um, and once you, well, I always say we fear what we don't understand. And once I better understood what was happening and why it might be happening, uh, it wasn't so scary. And I think probably a year and a half after I moved in here is when we started the team, maybe a year and 3 months. But that was the reason. I just wanted to give an option to folks that were looking for help, and hope that somebody would answer them. So that's where that came along. We walked into I guess the golden ticket, the holy grail of paranormal. We did this case that ended up on Paranormal Witness. 2 years
Yeah.
into doing this, and it opened up a lot of opportunities. Opportunities to speak at conventions. There was the TV tie-in, and people wanted to give you a platform. And going into those events, they give you a table, and I had nothing. I was so new, I had nothing. Um, and going back into my story, starting now that I planted the paranormal seed, we got to go back to 2006 when I moved in here. And I was going through a lot of things personally, just dealing with a lot of depression, suicidal thoughts. I adopted a dog named Murray, who was beaten as a puppy, and I felt like I hit the lottery in bringing him home. He was a pit lab mix, 6-month-old puppy, and was not supposed to like me because the man had done all of this to him. And I met him, and he came running and jumped into my arms, and we were best friends from the beginning. Um, Brought him home in early November, and within like 2 months of him being here, my depression got the best of me. And I sat in my bathroom, and I went through friend and family, one by one, and really came up with a reason why it'd be okay if I wasn't here, why it would be better for them. And when you're dealing with that kind of stuff, there's not a rational thought in your head. There just isn't. Um, I felt something on my arm. I looked down, and it was Murray, and he'd rested his chin on my left arm. And it snapped me out of it. And I crumpled to the floor, and I just hugged him. And that was the moment that we were no longer owner and dog. We were father and son. And I lived the next 13 years to thank him, and just every day was thankful for the next day that he had given me. I always say that had he not been there that night, that I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have experienced any of what I've experienced and been able to do. So when I started getting opportunities in the paranormal, I wanted to help. I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to create a legacy for him. And we did that by creating photos of he and I. And he would photograph them, and I would personalize them at events, and we would sell them for $10. It was a really simple concept. We didn't really have much expectations. I just wanted to be able to tell his story. And the reason I say it's his story is because without him, there is no story. Without him, there's
Yeah,
no.
right.
So I always play second fiddle to him. And some people get very irritated with me because I won't take credit for things. Uh, but the fact of the matter is that if he had not been there, I wouldn't be here today. So everything that I've experienced in the last 17 years is because he walked into that room and he snapped me out of it. So um, we did more and more events, and finally it started to catch on. We had a few events that would advertise that we were going to be there, would put us in touch with a great local shelter who would advertise it. And the first event was Little Traverse Bay Parafest in Petoskey, Michigan. And John and Jackie Cassidy really got behind it and treated Potographs like it was special. And I think we raised a couple $100 at that event. And I was pretty thrilled with that because up until then it had been pretty small. John convinced me that we should do exclusive events. We'll do lectures, and we'll do investigations, and all the ticket sales, minus the cost of the event, will go to the shelter in the area. And I wasn't so sure. He had to sell me on it. I didn't think people would come and talk or come and listen to he and I
Yeah.
talk. And they did. And we raised $741 at their first exclusive event.
Wow.
And then it just built, and it built, and it built. Um, right before COVID, the weekend before they shut everything down, we had an event in Michigan, and we raised over $13,000.
That's
And
incredible.
to date, which in April will be 11 years, we've raised just over $119,000 for shelters
Oh
around
my
the
God,
country.
that's incredible.
And it's a source of pride. I'm proud of it. But I really can't allow myself to just kind of take it in because it's not done yet. I don't want to. I think part of the lure of Potographs is the fact that it is kind of organic. It's homegrown. And I think if I would sit here and beat my chest and tell everybody how great it was, it would lose that luster, and people would be like, all right, he's just a jerk. Um,
I
but
don't know about that.
but it's nice to be able to go around to these events and tell Murray's story. And connect with folks that have the same experience, connect with folks
Yeah.
that are struggling with their own mental health. I was really naive in the beginning. I didn't know that by opening up, that people would open up with me and tell me their story about their animals that saved them. So, I mean, that was part of it I didn't anticipate, um, but it's a very rewarding thing. Um, my only regret is a lot of this photograph stuff really didn't take off until Murray passed away. Uh, he passed away in 2019, and it was a pretty sad day for a lot of people in the paranormal field, because he became, I guess, everybody's dog. I shared him with the world.
Yes. Yes.
I shared him with everybody, and just wanted everybody to realize just how special he was. So, uh, when he passed, there were a lot of folks that were grieving, and it helped. But at the end of the day, I always said, I shared him with the world, but he was still mine, and there was nobody that was grieving more than me. The paranormal tie-in to all of this is my dad passed away when I was very young, and I always would tell Murray, you got to find Grandpa. When it's your time, you got to find Grandpa, because I got to know somebody's taking care of you. And the day that he had his final seizure, and I was taking him into the vet, I just kept telling him, I'm like, you gotta let me know that Grandpa's got you. I gotta know you're okay, otherwise I'm coming to get you. And that sounds just like it is meant to be sound, or meant to sound. Um, that was a rough night. I had a lot of friends and family that came over and sat with me because they were worried. They were, what's going to happen to me now? Without
Right.
this.
Because you were so
Yeah,
inseparable. Yeah.
I,
Everything
I
to
mean,
each other.
I lived every day for him. I
Mm.
really did, and we keep pushing forward. Kind of, restarted this whole thing. Um, we were talking beforehand how life is really good for me right now, and life is so fantastic that in last August, I was really contemplating kind of shutting photographs down, because it had gotten to a point where there was more stress than it was worth. It wasn't fun for me anymore. Um, I wasn't handling that stress very well, and it wasn't in a healthy place. And then I met Lauren, and what started as a friendship, after 2 months, she looked at me and she said, I can't let you give up on your dream. Like, if there was somebody that would come along and would take some of this stress away and help you with this stuff, would you keep going? And here we are. And I can't even put into words how much I love that girl, but she's helping me. We're pushing forward. We just relaunched the social media page. It's called Murray's Legacy, Tim and Lauren
Yes.
chapter,
Yes.
and excited about where we're taking this now. And it feels a little extra rewarding because I'm doing it with somebody that I absolutely adore. So, a lot of people have sent me messages or commented on our posts and said, I think Murray had a hand in this, and I would like to think he did. Because the little dude's probably still watching out for his dad.
You know what, Tim? On this channel, we talk a lot about Catholic perspectives on the supernatural and Christian perspectives on the supernatural. And there have been multiple saints throughout church history who have had these miraculous relationships with dogs. And the number one was St. John Bosco, who is a very popular saint in the Catholic Church. And he was constantly threatened, with beatings, constantly jailed, constantly just attacked by everyone from the outside. And there was this dog that he called El Grigio, because the dog was gray, that would appear and miraculously get him out of all of these different situations. There was another very popular saint, Saint Roche, who lived in the 14th century, and he ministered to people who had the plague, and he contracted it himself. So he went out to live in the forest so that he wouldn't give it to anybody else. And every single day, this mysterious dog would come and bring him food and water. And it went on for years and years and years until he died. And I could go on and on and on. There's so many instances like this. And when every time that I see you post something and your memories about Murray and how close you guys were and how he brought you literally from the brink of self-annihilation, I think about this. And there are actually many scholars in the church that believe that our guardian angels sometimes manifest as dogs. And so when some people, come into possession relationship with a pet dog, that it's actually our guardian angel that's becoming like literally becoming a physical being because we need them. What do you think about that?
I I'd be lying if I said I didn't think of that. Um, I think there's a reason he was here, and I think he's still here, if I'm being honest, watching over me. And I, we had talked before this, and kind of mentioned that as far as organized religion, I've never been super religious. I'm also not the person that's not super religious that gets angry at the people that are, um, because your beliefs are your beliefs, and you have every right to them. I'm not going to sit here and tell people what they need to believe. But the paranormal field actually got me back into spirituality and believing in a higher power.
Mhm.
I still don't know what I call it or call him or her. Um, but I think there was definitely something at hand that was making sure that he was in my life somehow. Um, people are probably going to be like, "Oh my God, he's so in love with that girl," but I think there's something um, that had a hand in bringing Lauren into my life too.
Yeah.
Like it was meant to be, and it all kind of connects. We met on the same date that Murray was born. Um, it just, it all kind of just made sense for us, and we spent a lot of time trying to figure out how this happened so quickly. And then we were just kind of like, you know what, we can't figure it out, so let's stop trying. Um, but yeah, like I said earlier, I think the little dude is looking out for me. Wants me to do great things, wants me to be happy. And one of the reasons I was ready to walk away was, I said, Murray would want me to be healthy, first and foremost. He would want that. He wouldn't want me so stressed that I was back in a dark place. And I really believe that he had a hand in making it all right and saying, okay, we'll fix this for you. And we're going to push forward. We're going to do everything we can to spread his message. And, sometimes you just got to go with it and not worry about how it happened so much, but excited for the future.
Yeah. That's amazing. All right, so you got a an event coming up, don't you, this spring?
I do, and it's coming up too quickly.
I know, believe me,
I,
I know.
I, I am not ready yet. We're doing Pottergrass Parafest 5 in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Our most successful events have been in Michigan. The event that I talked about raising $13,000 was in Houghton Lake, Michigan. We moved it to Ann Arbor, so it's closer to a major hub. It's cheaper to get people in to fly to Detroit, saves us some cost. It's a bigger area for people. We get more people at the event. Um, this year the headliners are Dustin Perry, Heather Taddy, Barry Fitzgerald, and John Tenney. So really fortunate that the folks in the
Right.
paranormal field kind of wrapped their arms around it and said, we're not going to let this fail. And we've gotten a lot of support from some fantastic names in the paranormal. And last year, the headliner was John Zaffis. John is a terrific friend. And
Yeah, and John, for the viewers that don't know John Zaffis, he's a nephew of Ed Warren of Ed and Lorraine Warren fame,
yes,
known as the godfather of the paranormal.
he is. And the poster for last year was Godfather themed. And it,
Oh,
it was a picture of Johnny with Murray at his feet. And,
oh, that's so
and
cute.
then everybody else was, on the poster too. But the focal point of the poster was John Zaffis. And if you don't mind me telling the story, when I called John
Please.
to ask him to be a part of the event, I got choked up because I said, Murray's had a lot of things, but he's never had a godfather. And I said, I would be honored if you would be a part of the Pottergrass family. And he didn't even hesitate. He said yes immediately.
Oh,
So
that's so sweet.
yeah, I'm very fortunate. I have a lot of folks that are behind this. You can't do anything like this by yourself. And there's so many people behind the scenes, friends that help. It's really hard to name them all and not forget somebody. But Todd Arnold has been investigating with me on Fox Cities Paranormal Team for 16 years. Has been wonderful and a great supporter and like a brother to me. And now going forward, we add Lauren to the mix, and we're pushing forward, and we're going to do fantastic things for my
So
boy.
was Lauren interested in all of this before you guys met?
Yes, she actually has investigated the paranormal for a few years, so we had that in common, and she's excited about this opportunity. We're going to do some things together, some events together, and raise some money for the boy. And I told her, you got to love the boy, otherwise this isn't going to work. And she's like, I feel like I've met him. I
Yeah.
wish I would have met him, but I feel like I knew him. So
Yeah.
we're excited to get to March. Tongue in cheek, I say it's coming too quickly because we got less than 2 months to pull this all together and sell some more tickets and all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, it's going to work out. It always does.
Yeah, it
Um,
does.
it won't fail, and we'll have a great weekend, and we'll get to talk about Murray.
Best. Have you ever had, tell me, have you ever had any cases in all the cases that you looked at where you felt that there was something that was really dark, something that's so dark that you couldn't handle it?
Honestly, I can't think of one. We've had a lot of those cases where that was the claim, and
Mm-hmm.
you dig into the case,
Yeah.
and it never
Right.
ends up being as bad as they say it is.
Right.
I don't want to minimize, what the families are going through. Um, but I mean, this. If you go into a case and every claim is 100% true, you're walking into hell sometimes
Yeah.
with
All this,
with what they tell you.
every time. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's almost comforting to go into an investigation and not validate those claims at
Yeah. It's
some
very
level.
rare when there's actually something happening.
I mean, there's been a few times where I felt uncomfortable. I've been hit by things I can't see, punched, pushed,
Mhm.
been told to go home, all that good stuff that every investigator at some point in time um, ends up experiencing. But I don't think there's been a time where I felt truly threatened. Um, but even if we got to that point, I have such a fantastic network of friends in this field where I feel confident that if I needed that help, I could get it. So um, can't be afraid of those things either. But also, I'm not one of those people pounding on my chest saying I'm looking for it because I think that's pretty
Right.
foolish.
Right. How's your house now?
The house is actually okay. The activity that was here, well, it still is on a smaller level. The activity that was here originally was my father. And just it was weird because a lot of my family and friends were like, your dad's probably there watching over you. And, ended up having enough things happen and getting some validation from some folks. Uh,
Mhm.
but nothing here is threatening. I feel perfectly at ease in this home.
It is so good to see you. It is just great to talk to you. And so your whole face is just lit up, your eyes are lit up, and it's so wonderful to see. And I know that Murray had a ton to do with that. And of course, Lauren had a ton to do with that. And I'm just so excited to see everything you do in the future with her and with Podographs also, and with all of your work.
I'm excited too. Looking forward to all the things that we can accomplish. And, at the forefront is always going to be the boy, and he always gets top billing because I don't think it's fair to do it any other way. But yeah, we're going to see what kind of great things we can do. Uh, in 2022, we surpassed $100,000 raised, and I think I went numb after that, and I think that's where a lot of the stress came from. Because people had all these expectations. There was no expectation, but once we got close to $100,000, then it was everybody's goal. And once we achieved it, it was almost like a letdown, kind of a what now type
Yeah, right.
situation. And
Sure.
I think I got in my own head, and I stressed myself out over that and trying to top the last event and make each one better and better and better. And just got to the point where I needed to get centered again.
Do you
And
ever think of starting your own shelter?
no, I'll be completely honest with you. A lot of people give me so much credit for what we do, and honestly, I have the easy job. I could never run a shelter. I couldn't work at a shelter because there's so much heartbreak.
You're
I
such an
wouldn't be able to handle
empath. Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to handle that. I really wouldn't, and I know it. So when we deal with these shelters and they have all of these wonderful things to say about us, I make sure that they understand that they're doing the real work. You know, that they're the heroes for these dogs. We're just making it a little bit easier by giving them some money. But yeah, at the end of the day, those folks are amazing for what they do, and I have nothing but respect for all of those people.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, are you going to be up in Sault Ste. Marie this summer
I am.
at Upers? Great.
Yep.
I will
I'm looking
see you
forward to it.
there
Yeah.
finally after all these years.
Yeah, we've got a few things on the calendar. Still room for more. Talking about doing an event out west. Got an event coming out in Minnesota in May. Got a whole weekend planned in Hinsdale House in New York.
And
Dan,
I'll put all of those links below this video so everybody can check them out wherever you are in the country. It looks like there's somewhere you can go see
yeah,
him.
we're uh we're pretty much coast to coast this year. Once we get it's either going to be in Oregon or Washington.
Oh gosh, and that's so great.
It's it's intimidating, I will tell you that. Um,
No,
but it's also exciting because
that's
it
fantastic.
brings a whole new audience to Murray's story and folks
Yeah.
that haven't heard it before. I always love standing in front of a group of people that has never seen me before, and they're hearing the story for the first time. Because I tell them you're going to need Kleenex no matter how tough you are.
Yes.
You're going to need Kleenex. Um, Generally, I break down. I mean, I posted that I did a podcast last night, and when we were recording it, I was a mess. And I told myself going into this one, I'm like, I got to keep it together so people understand what I'm saying. Um, but when I talk about him, I want to get emotional. I don't want that to ever go away. I don't want to ever just be able to talk about him and not have my voice crack and not feel that emptiness. I want it to hurt because you know it meant something then. And you know, my my biggest fear in the world is like an Alzheimer's or dementia situation where I forget him.
Oh, yeah.
It might be irrational, but it is my biggest fear in the world that one day I wake up and I will not remember him. And yeah, so I want to surround myself with every room in this house has at least 3 pictures of Murray in it, which
Oh,
might be overkill. Uh, but I mean, you can see him over my shoulder here. There's five
yeah.
photos behind me.
Yeah.
There's actually the the fake check that we gave to the shelter for the night we raised $13,000. So that's all hanging in my office. Just constant reminders. I mean, I've got a tattoo on my arm of his paw print. There's always something that could bring me back and snap me out of it, like he did, you know, 17 years ago. It's a long time ago. Um, I don't think younger me ever thought I'd live to be this old, and you know, here I am, and just excited for it, and you know, just thankful for him, thankful that he came into my life and
Yeah.
was there when I needed him the most.
Yeah. I'm thankful too. Is there a place where people that can't come and see you in person and donate? Can they do that online?
They can. If you go to pottergraphsforpooches.com, right on the homepage there at the top, there's a donate button. And all of that money that comes in through that button goes to the next event that we have. So the next event we have is Ann Arbor, Potographs Bearfest 5. One thing that I'm very, very proud of with Potographs is that, except for costs, every penny goes to the shelter. Um, if I'm being honest with you, I lose a lot of money on every event
Yes,
because
I know. Believe me, I
because,
know.
because I don't take out for fees. I
Yeah.
don't think that's the shelter's problem to pay those fees for tickets. But yeah, for travel and hotel and all that stuff, we take that out of the ticket price. But everything else after costs goes right to the shelter. And that's kind of a promise I made to Murray, that this was not going to be a situation where Dad was going to get rich. We were going to make sure the money went to the right place.
That is absolutely wonderful. Oh, Tim, I wish you all of the best. I wish you all great things to come. And I do hope to see you this summer. And I'm so grateful that you came on the show. And I hope that this is going to help a little bit to get more people aware of what you're doing and support what you're doing. Come out and meet you and see you too.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. It was good talking to you again.
You too. You
Good seeing you
too.
around, and
You
and
too.
just thanks for the opportunity. Anytime I got a new platform to talk about my boy, I'll jump at the chance.
Yeah. Oh, well, God bless you and have a great night. And I will see you later this year.
All right, sounds good. Thanks.
Let's try one more. See the possible like feeling like when I say ba da ba ba do ba ba da be do dee da, you know, feeling it. Okay, 1, 2.